and welcome to Tweet the Leader and You podcast, where we chat about realistic leadership theories with your anniversary host, Rex Charlton. I'm super excited to be here. Listen, I've been on a couple episodes. I'm super excited to be here. I'm here with Templeton Sawyer, the host of this podcast. It's an amazing podcast, I should say. Welcome Templeton. Welcome Templeton. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Rex? How are
Uh,
you, man? I'm honored to have you as the anniversary host. I'm honored. Thank
no
you, man.
problem, my brother. It's no problem. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I keep on saying this every time, but it's honestly a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to be here. So the topic about today, the topic we're gonna be talking about is moving forward. What is it? We're gonna be moving forward for Tweet the Leader and You. So we're gonna try dive right into the topic. We're gonna dive right into the topic about moving forward and what is planned for Tweet the Leader in You. All right. So we're gonna dive right into the topic. Okay. So what is the importance of inviting people into spaces we share? So tell us more.
Yeah, I think as we move forward into Tweet the Leader New podcast, we're moving forward to inviting other persons into the space from the LGBTQ plus A. I think I got it right. Please do not judge me if I didn't. I know that inviting them into the spaces more, also inviting other persons, the indigenous community into the space. So thinking from a cultural perspective as well, inviting people into the spaces whose voices have not been yet heard onto this podcast. And not only from a cultural perspective, but also from a career perspective, from a professional perspective, from a friend to friend perspective. And so I'll be inviting my friends and my
Oh,
family actually to this podcast because it's very important for me to share family. Family is very important to me. And so I'll be in the Bahamas this coming Christmas. And I plan to actually do an episode with several of my family members for us to capture where I got the roots of passion from. And I think it's very important for us to share that and also to grow that and also take you on that journey. So moving forward, we're welcoming from a personal connection, an emotional connection, and from an exciting connection, and from a people's connection onto this podcast.
amazing, man, amazing. See, we start out the gate hot, 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 hot. So
Yeah.
let me just take a moment that we are low key matching. We're matching low key.
Oh, yeah. Listen, listen,
We got
listen,
the
listen. That's how
yellow, we
we do
got the
it.
blue going on. Okay, only thing I'm missing is the hat and the glasses. That's the only thing I'm missing.
Listen, listen.
So man, I see big things happening moving forward. We're moving forward. We're not moving back anymore. We're moving forward. So I know you
Yeah.
talk about your family. I know. Do you find yourself gonna be more? It's gonna be. Do you think yourself this podcast will be even like a travel? Like, do you see yourself traveling? Let's say if you go to like Miami, or you're gonna be interviewing people in Miami or wherever you travel. Do you see yourself doing this? Doing that?
Yeah, I see me capturing different snippets with
Yeah.
the podcast for social media as well. One of the things that I have started over the summer as a test trial is having conversations with people over Instagram, with other having different conversations to broaden our podcast
Mhm.
discussions. And I think I'm actually going to start that up again with me, myself, and other persons. Taking on that panel where if they're in certain areas of life and if they're traveling in certain places and say, hey Tyler, I think this person is deserving to have a message to say on our Instagram page.
Mhm.
Let's do it. Like that's how we're going to be taking on the podcast because we do normally regular recordings, but what happens after we do the recordings? What happens after we see an
Right.
episode? And so we're gonna have more discussions of welcoming people. So that may in team when I go to the Bahamas, I may not only invite family but friends actually
Mhm.
as well to be aired onto the podcast. And so stay tuned to that into more discussions about that.
Amazing, man. Amazing. So I'm gonna dive in right to another question. This is a hot topic. So speak about the importance of change and adaptability. Adaptability.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, when you think about change, a lot of times sometimes change is
Hmm.
hard to make, but it's
Right.
necessary. It's necessary to make because it helps. you to grow not only helps you personally, but it helps the network or the organization that you're leading to grow
Mm,
as well. When it comes to adaptability, adaptability is adapting to new
mm,
trends, new current trends that's happening that will make the podcast known. And so we as a podcast and as a collective, we are looking, we're searching, we're researching new initiatives, new things that we can actually innovate and make sure the message is getting
mm,
across. And I want to say we started with having different networks. So we're gonna have actually different seasons of podcasts. So we're gonna shift into the season. So I'm thinking of actually changing these. I think we're at the 20 something episode where we're gonna actually put that in a full season or split them into season one, season two, and then we're gonna actually try to transition and all that good stuff. And stay tuned. There's so much live studio that we wanted ideas that we want to do. I'll just share a little secret that we're trying to actually do some nature interviews, basically sitting down in
okay.
nature to do that.
Okay.
Let's just say that's an idea.
Okay.
That's an idea. I have not, FYI, I haven't spoken to my executive producer about this, but I think he's just smiling at me that it's going to happen some way or
Right.
somehow and all of this stuff. And the good thing is that the team that we have are very adapted to new things. And I'm thankful that my producer is as well. We find different ways to adapt. I can um, hurt but not to mention, Israel has been an amazing producer moving forward into this initiative. And we grow together as a team. And we have other persons who have joined our team, Ashley Heki, Yusuf Hamad, and we have also other persons who are joining the team, which I'll talk to later on in this discussion. So
Awesome,
yeah.
man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I know I'm a little bit off topic here. But
Yeah, yeah.
I've searched your podcast. I've searched your podcast on the iPhone app. And I'm
Mhm,
typing tweet the leader and and you see your episodes
mhm,
pop up. You're like the first person, the I guess the first platform that comes up is Tweet the Leader You, which is your podcast. How do you
mhm.
feel as an individual to be like, yo, that's me, that's my podcast, or that that's my group podcast? How do you feel as an individual? Do you feel proud? Like, let us know, how do you feel? Because I feel as if, and it's 1 year, everyone. It's 1 year. They've been around the sun. They've been around the moon. So they're ready experience what it's like in a pandemic, in a global pandemic. We're still in a pandemic. So again, like, tell us how you feel, man.
It's a historic
Mm,
feeling. It's an historic feeling. I always say to myself that I want to leave a legacy, and this podcast is the legacy. The podcast is allowing persons to have a voice, and I will continue to build upon this podcast. And I look at other persons within the media industry who admire and how they started off in the media
mhm,
industry, and this is one of the ways that is leaving a legacy of allowing persons to have a
mm,
voice, and so I feel very grateful and to see the opportunity of Tweet the Leader and You being on the World Wide Web and also my name as well being on the World Wide Web. And I always try to search myself and say, hey, where am I?
exactly.
Where am I in these areas? And so when you search Templeton
Right.
Sawyer, you don't see another particular individual come up. You see
Okay.
me. And so I feel very grateful. There are lots of
Mm-hmm.
Templeton
But
Sawyers in
there's
the
only
world,
one,
but I feel very grateful that my name is coming
for
up in
sure.
this world about that, and so I'm very grateful for that particular opportunity. That not only our podcast, but me personally, it speaks to the work that I'm doing, and I don't mean to be ego, but I have to speak about the growth and evolving. I always tell people I wasn't always this way, but it started with passion, it started with focus, and it started with just being
Mm,
humble and allowing things to smooth and go
for
forward.
sure, for
So
sure.
yeah,
I have a few more questions going on, my brother.
yeah.
But what makes a network podcast? What really makes a network podcast?
You know what? What makes a network podcast is inviting other people other podcasters to your spaces. And so we as a team have been chatting about allowing other podcasts or inviting other podcasts to our space to have conversations and have forums and workshops about different stuff. And so I want you to stay connected with the partnership that we're going to be making with different other organizations that will grow the podcast to where it needs to be. No one not where it needs to be, where it's going moving forward, I would say, and all that good stuff. So a network, I would say, for this podcast is branching out into communities, into adding different partnerships. And partnership, I think, is one of the core importance of where we're focusing on this year into the next, and I think into the future years to come. That is one of our top priorities. Is partnership.
Amazing. Yo, you're
Yeah.
powerful, man. You're powerful. You're inspiring me.
Listen,
You're inspiring me,
yeah,
man. So
listen,
keep up the amazing work
yeah.
that you're doing, and man, you're already far. Yeah, you're going even further.
Yeah,
So tell the audience like what is for the future, like what is for the future episodes, and what can they expect? Like we're moving forward, but we're done with the 2020. We're moving forward into 2021. We're almost done at 2021, but 2022 we're moving
yeah.
forward to. So what can people expect with future episodes with Tweet the Leader in You?
Well, we're actually moving forward into so many ways. We're going to be welcoming a co-host
Mm,
team of individuals who will be joining the panel of discussion. So we have the amazing Amanda. She's in
mm.
Ottawa. She'll be joining us on the team in the future episodes as well. We have the amazing Rosie. She's in the United States, and so she'll be joining us on this co-host team. And we have also the amazing Rex Charlton, who will be joining this co-host team as well, who will be having lots of conversations. One of the things that Tweet the Leader You wants to do in future episodes, and we're taking this bit by bit, but we're allowing Tweet the Leader You to go around the
Mm,
globe, but it's still an Atlantic
right.
podcast. So we're inviting co-host persons from persons like Dubai and persons like from Australia, persons like from also the UK and all that good stuff. So we're branding Tweet the Leader in You. So if we have a co-host that's in the UK, we say Tweet the Leader in You UK. We have Tweet the Leader in You. So we're trying to
Hey.
identify different areas of the podcast where we're taking global, but it's always going to be Atlantic podcast, but having global discussions.
Amazing, yo.
Conversation.
Like
Yeah.
I know I think I'm dramatic, but when it comes down to your questions, your answers, I'd be like, man, like
Yeah.
wait, you really killing these answers, man. But that when you said the word Atlantic, and that goes with your our the motto when it comes down to Tweet the Leader in You motto. So the motto is we are Atlantic podcast having global conversations. So I want you to tell us
Yeah.
about it. You literally wrapped that up in a nutshell just now, but I want you to explain to the audience.
Yeah, we speak about us as an Atlantic, and the Atlantic is an amazing part of Canada, which includes Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick,
Hmm.
PEI, and so it includes all of these amazing persons who have unique ways, and so in the home of Nova Scotia is where this podcast is home, and so the podcast will forever stay in the home of Nova Scotia. But that does not mean that we cannot have global conversations where we invite global leaders to have top conversations with us that needs to be heard. And so stay tuned. We will be inviting political leaders to this platform. I feel that it's welcome now, that I feel comfortable welcoming ministers, parliaments, and speakers to this platform. So stay tuned, speakers, and hopefully prime ministers. I will be welcoming you to this platform, and I hope that you will welcome the invitation to have a conversation with you. I am a big dreamer, and I think that I can do it in inviting person, and hopefully, I'm not saying, but hopefully we have
Justin
Prime Minister
Trudeau,
Justin Trudeau
yes, Justin Trudeau.
on this podcast. But hey, if anyone knows Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, tell him Templeton Toy
Exactly.
is trying to
Tell
reach
him
out
even
to us.
Rex Charlton.
But
Rex
no,
Charlton is
yeah,
paging
yeah,
you
right,
right now,
yeah,
Mister Prime Minister
yeah.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, that's a message. But no, inviting people to the conversation and all that good stuff is very
Right.
important. And yeah, we have a lot of things, Rex, that we're doing in the podcast. There's a lot of components that I would not mention
Hmm.
right now because we want to have that discussion at the
Right.
table. And I always say we're a family, so we meet at the
Right.
table to have a conversation. So the family has to meet and to have a family
Right.
meeting about where we want to move forward in other areas of the podcast. But I will stop from there. And yeah.
Amazing. Although we can't forget our home prime minister as well, Philip Ray Davis. We can't
Oh,
forget
oh
him.
yeah.
So we have
Yeah.
to and we have
Oh
to
yeah.
invite him over to the podcast as well for sure.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. We have to welcome Prime Minister
Yeah.
Brave Davis, Philip Brave Davis, onto our podcast for
So,
sure. And that's why I say we're welcoming
yeah.
Prime Ministers now to the podcast. Hey, hey, I feel this. I feel this. Anyway, I just have my little
I
moment
see.
just
I
now
see.
thinking about that. When you think
For
about
sure.
things, it gets you
Hmm.
excited. And this is not a political podcast by no
Right.
means. I just want you to know that it's sharing
Right.
knowledge and sharing help and all that good stuff. So I want you to know that this podcast will never be a political podcast. It's more about helping and sharing and having people whose stories have not been
Right.
heard to be on this podcast. But we welcome global leaders to brand and bring the podcast to another level of their conversation and their
Mhm.
perspectives, because they can also make things come to life. But we are here moving forward with this.
I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I'm gonna wrap up with this last question. But like, what can people expect for your brand moving forward? Like, we're moving forward. I know the topic is moving forward, but what can people like? Can people get like a sneak peek of what can they get in 2020, in 2021, or even 2022 as we move forward in this brand?
Yeah, I say stay tuned to our social media channels. We are on Apple, we are on Spotify, we are on CKDU, Dalhousie's radio station. We're on a podcast Atlantic. We're on their documentary. We're also on different other medias as well. And so if you've never heard of Tweet the Leader, you join those platforms, and I'm pretty sure you'll see Tweet the Leader new podcast being aired there. We had the opportunity of being on CBC and over the summer, and so I think that's another area of where you want to check out with the podcast from a different perspective as well. From a youth perspective, I would say we call on youth to this podcast. We call on people in general to this podcast just to share where they're going and who they are as an individual. And so yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Amazing, amazing. So there you have it. The host of Tweet the Leader. You speak it all. What is it moving forward? What is it like moving forward? And what can you expect moving forward from this podcast? So I'm super excited. It's honestly, Templeton, it's honestly a pleasure having me here. I keep on saying this over and over again, but have pleasure having me here, hosting, being an anniversary host. Look, me, little old me. It's gonna be is an anniversary. So thank you so much for having me today. And again, we're speaking about future and adapting to change. And so I have a fitting quote as we end by John Wooden, and it says, "If we fail to adapt, we fail to move forward." Again, the quote is by
Mm.
John Wooden. If we fail to adapt, we fail to move forward. So thank you so much for joining us today in this podcast, and it was honestly a pleasure. So thank you.